Hey there, lovely people. Welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry. We are still in the Watanagashi chapter. In our last chapter, we broke into that warehouse to look at the ritual tools. There was a lot of like really freaky stuff in there, a lot of torture devices, and we learned that the people of Hinamizawa used to eat each other, which was cool. This is something interesting. Let out a great big yawn. It was like morning had arrived just as I got to sleep. Mom said at breakfast she gave me a pained smile.
どうしたの、ケイチ。昨夜は何時に寝たの？
12時には寝たつもりだけど、昨日はなんだか寝つきが悪くてさ。
お祭りではしゃぎすぎて興奮して眠れなかった。
We were probably terrified to go to sleep. We learned a lot of really spooky stuff.
違うよ。
Crunch, crunch. Crunched down hard on the pickled radish to hide my embarrassment. After all that happened yesterday in our discussion about the sound Shion heard, that banging noise like a child far away jumping up and down on a wooden floor, the story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had trouble sleeping. Right, so there was a noise in the warehouse that only Shion and Tomatake heard. It sounded like a child jumping up and down. So they heard it. Me and Takano didn't hear anything. So it was a long night. And I kept jumping at the slight sounds of faraway tree branches, which should have been either unbearable or unhearable or too insignificant to notice. When I woke up to the morning sunlight and birds chirping, it made me feel pretty ashamed about it, but I felt far from refreshed this morning. Ohayo, Reina. Ohayo gozaimasu.
どういうわけか寝つきが悪くてな。そんなわけで今日は寝不足だ。
Yawn. Same. Same, Keiichi.
楽しかったね。レナも興奮がなかなか冷めなくて、なかなか寝れなかったんだよ。
In Reina's case, her excitement seemed to still be wide awake.
こういうお祭りが何度もあればいいのにね。またみんなで大盛り上がり。はう。
まあ、そうだな。
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we should tell Reina about like the meaning behind the festival, about the entrails and stuff. See how excited she still is. Reina talking about the festival yesterday made me remember everything I had nearly forgotten from last night. Inside of the ritual storehouse had been so utterly different from the relaxed, bright, everyday life of Hinamizawa. All those stories that Takano-san told me too. Mysterious incidents that occurred on the day of the Watanagashi festival every year. Strange incidents where one person would die and one would disappear. The old stories of Hinamizawa, flickering like a candle behind them. The numerous and horrifying traditions of Onigafuchi village. Villagers with demon blood in them. Terrible cannibalistic feasts. The poor sacrifices kidnapped from human villages. Victims of the Onikakushi. To quell the rage of Oyashiro-sama, ritual involving living sacrifices. There were also many, many others. There were so many stories that just remembering them put me in a foul mood. Most of them weren't fiction either. They were true. We didn't need to fear them just because they were real, though, since it all happened so long ago. Such a very long time ago. Well, like 100 years. That's not super long. Before I realized that we'd arrived at the place where we usually meet with Mion. Probably because I was so lost in thought. Alright, this is a little bit worrying. Because I remember at the end of the last chapter, Mion asked if we were with Shion. And she had like a pretty dark undertone in her voice. Mion being late wasn't too rare an occurrence, but today she was unusually late. A few of the ominous tales from the night before came back to life in my mind again. Who would die this year and who would disappear? It couldn't have been Mion.
どうするかな、ケイチ君。もう行かないと遅刻になっちゃうかも。
来るよ。学校休むって電話があったわけじゃないだろ。もう5分待ってみようぜ。な。
Yeah, let's wait and see what happens. I know they found a body that was burned to death in a barrel. We don't know anything about that. Detective Oishi found it with his police force, but we don't know who it was. Reina looked at her watch and seemed a little worried, but then she nodded with a satisfied smile. If we had to wait 5 minutes, we'd have to run as fast as we could to school or we'd be late. As soon as I thought that, we spotted Mion, running towards us out of breath. Oh, good. She's okay.
みーちゃん、遅い遅い。待っててくれたわけ。先に行っちゃってもよかったのに。
Well, we were being good friends, Mion. Mion was breathing heavily and her face was all red. Her house was right down this road, wasn't it? Wasn't far enough away for her to end up like this, was it?
みーちゃん、ひょっとして具合悪くない？
That was a weird thing to say. Huh? Now she mentioned it. Reina pushed Mion's bangs away and her hand to her forehead.
レナの手、冷たいな。みーちゃん、ちょっとだけど熱あるよ。
Wait, I want to go back a second. So where was she coming from? If her house is right down the road, why is she running and out of breath?
そんな大したことないよ。半日もすればケロッと治っちゃうって。
This game doesn't just throw in superfluous language. There's a reason they said that. Anyway, continuing.
あまり無理するなよ。
あれ、ケイちゃん、気遣ってくれるの？嬉しいな。
That answer wasn't like Mion at all. Must have had it pretty bad. I mean, maybe she's sick, but
無理しない方がいいと思うな。
that seems like too easy of an answer.
大丈夫大丈夫。風邪薬も飲んだし、すぐに効いてくると思うから。
Mion forced an energetic expression onto her face and flexed her biceps at us. Ooh.
じゃあ行こうか。くれぐれも無理するなよ。時間。
Yeah, we gotta go.
走らないと間に合わない。スリリングな朝になっちゃったね。鈍った体にはちょうどいいカツかもね。走ろ。
Let's do it. Let's run. Hey, wait, you're sick. Don't go overboard. Mion began to run vigorously anyway.
みーちゃんだって最上級生だよ。自分の体のことは自分で一番よくわかってるよ。
Decided to leave it at that and assume she was fine.
よし、俺たちも行こうぜ。
Began to run after Mion. Well, then she's not sick if she's able to run all the way to school. School looked the same as always. Hours passed listlessly and my lack of sleep took its toll. If there was a sport where people competed by sleeping, I'd be world champion right now. The trick to overcoming this sort of dangerous situation was to hold your pencil upside down. Why, you ask? You don't draw strange patterns all over your notes while half asleep. You're gonna draw all over your face, or stab yourself in the eye, Final Destination style, Keiichi. Come on now. If you're holding your pencil upside down, that wouldn't happen, would it? Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump, bump. And it felt like an eraser hit me in the head 6 times.
あいてててて。何しやがるサトコ。
私は何もしてないでございますわ。
お前以外にこんないたずら誰がするんだよ。あ、消しゴムじゃなくてチョークか。
Who's throwing chalk at us? Is it the teacher? Oh, we're in big trouble. Behind me, like a female outlaw might hold razors, was the teacher's shadow, holding 3 pieces of chalk in each hand. Rumble, rumble, rumble.
前原くん、お顔を洗ってらっしゃい。
はい。喜んで。
That alone was enough to wake me up, but I flew out into the hallway as it was shoved by the pressure exuded by the teacher's sheer power. You can't fall asleep in a classroom of like 20 kids. Be real. I was going to wash my face anyway, then I would rather use the sinks out front rather than the ones in the dark restroom. Thinking that, I left the hallway and went to the entrance. Sunlight was strong. So strong you wouldn't think it was June. Turned the faucet, and with a lifeless bubbling noise, lukewarm water came pouring out. I let it run for a few moments. Would it get cold? I looked at it absent-mindedly for a little while.
やっぱケイちゃんはこっちの流しを選んだか。表の方が気分いいもんね。
ミオンか。授業サボるなよな。
Stuck my hands into the water to find it had gotten so cold that it seemed strange it had ever been warm. Scooped it up and splashed it against my face. Once I was done, I moved out of the way, and Mion did the same.
ミオン、具合の方はいいのかよ。眠いのは寝不足じゃなくて薬の副作用なんだろ。
実は内緒なんだけど、昨日はお祭りの後で親族の。
Oh, she was out partying all night. I got it.
それ 実はエンドレスに突入し
So
て
she got smashed. That's why she was running so far and so fast. She probably fell asleep at, like, her uncle's house or, like, her cousin's house or something and had to run all the way to us. A bit. Made a gesture like she was tilting a cup into her mouth. She got smashed and didn't want us to know. Got it. Means you didn't have a cold or anything.
つまり本当に寝不足なのかよ。徹夜明けならそうと言え、紛らわしい。
Not old enough to drink.
勘弁してよ。体調が悪いのは本当なんだからさ。
Party girl. Both should be feeling lousy either way. Still, you treat colds and hangovers in completely different ways.
心配して損したぞ。たくミオンらしいというかなんというか。
Mion scratched her head, a little embarrassed. She didn't seem to be feeling well, but now that I knew it was a hangover, I didn't need to worry too much. It would go away with time, after all.
あ、でも頭がガンガンするのは本当。だからさ、さっき先生に早退していいって言われちゃった。
あ、ずるいやつ。じゃあミオンはもうこれで帰りなのか？
I looked again. Mion had her bag with her. Must have been on her way home.
申し訳ないけどね。今日は家でおとなしく寝させてもらうわ。部活できなくて申し訳ないね。今日はケイちゃんがリーダーってことでやってく
No
れ
one's
る。
gonna want to play games. Nobody ever plays games when the whole group isn't there.
多分無理だと思うぜ。俺たち部活は
Right.
全員揃った時しかやらないっていう暗黙の了解があるだろう。ミオンがバイトに行ってる時はいつもそのままお開きだったんだぜ。
Mion laughed wryly, saying we didn't need to worry about her. No matter how much fun we have, though, I think that feeling guilty about friends who can't share in it is a sign of a really fantastic friendship. In that sense, the club Mion had created was a wonderful thing. As I thought about it, the moisture on my washed face dried up. Suppose we were talking too much. If I didn't get back to the classroom soon, I can get in trouble.
じゃあな、俺は教室に戻るぜ。帰りは気をつけろよ。ふらふらして側溝や用水路に落ち
Don't
る。
wobble into a sewer or brook. Listen, Mion, you drunk assho. Don't wander into a sewer, he says. Party girl Mion left it at that, turned around, and started heading back into the classroom.
そうそう、ケイちゃん。
Oh. Mion stopped me, and I turned my head to listen.
なんだ？
変なこと聞くけど、深く考えないで答えてね。
それは内容によりけりだな。
昨日の綿流しの晩さ、富武さんと高野さんに会わなかった？
No. Suddenly tensed up.
富武さんと高野さんはわかるよね。ほらケイちゃん、お祭りの前日準備の時、シオンと一緒に4人でお話ししてたでしょ。
Right. We were talking about the legends of Hinamizawa and the cotton drifting festival and how someone disappears and someone is murdered every year. If I could, I wanted to forget about sneaking into the Snore house that night as soon as possible. So hearing the names of the people I was with at the time really got to me. Besides that, though, why was Mion asking me a question like that? That is very strange, isn't it? It's been less than 24 hours since the festival has ended and she's asking about the people who broke into the storehouse. I ended up staring at her, unable to answer immediately. Was she asking to see if I had seen them or not? Or was she asking the question knowing that I had? I couldn't tell.
さあ、どうかな。あったような、合わなかったような。
My vague response was clearly not to Mion's liking. What answer was she expecting from me? There was no way for me to know.
そう。じゃあもう一つ質問ね。同じく夕べ、シオンに会わなかった？
She's asking us about Shion again. She asked about that last night. My heart leapt into my throat again. Tiny needles buried underneath Mion's words pricked into me.
それ、昨日も聞いたよな。俺、あったかどうかわから
That's
ない
right.
って答えたと思った。
She asked us like right after we broke into the storehouse and left Shion. She was like, "Did you see Shion?"
そうだっけ？また改めて聞いたら違う答えが返ってくるかなって思ってさ。
I don't like this. Suddenly noticed something in Mion's eyes. Something indescribable. Watake-san and Takano-san. Shion, too. She's asking me about them. There was no doubt about it. Last night, the four of us snuck into the ritual storehouse. She knew everything. So what? Not really a curse anyway. That's right. Even Shion and Takano-san said yesterday during the festival that there was no curse. And that rather than a curse, it was the doing of the villagers. My blood curdled. Mion was, almost without a doubt, aware that we snuck into the storehouse. There's nothing strange. I screwed up bad flipping on the light switch last night. If Mion had been searching for me, it was simple to imagine that she had seen that momentary light and come to find what was going on.
本当に会ってないんだね。
どうして会ったかどうかをそんなに気にするんだよ。
大したことじゃないの。富武さんと高野さんと悪く言ってる人たちがいるの。
And me?
何が悪いんだかはよく聞いてないんだけどね。
Why am I getting thrown into the bus? Excuse me, I was absolutely Shion's +1 for that storehouse break-in party. That is not my fault. That is not me. Unpleasant sweat dripped down my arms. The sound of it hanging from my fingertips was so annoyingly loud.
私、ケイちゃんが悪いことをするなんて信じてないから。でも、ちょっとだけ聞いてみたかったから聞いてみたの。不愉快な思いをさせてごめんね。
Found myself unable to reply. My reaction must have made it obvious what the truth was, and yet I couldn't explain myself.
ケイちゃんは富武さんとも高野さんとも、そしてシオンとも一緒じゃなかった。そうだよね。
She knows.
ああ。
So it seems like Mion or somebody connected to Mion knows that someone broke into the storehouse somehow, and that the four of us did it, but maybe Mion is protecting us because we're like her naive friend who's new to the village. Maybe she doesn't want us to get in trouble. But then what's going to happen to the other three? I finally got an answer between ragged breaths. Mion's expression softened a little.
よかった。私言っとくね。ケイちゃんは何にも悪いことには加わってないって。みんなにちゃんと言っておくからね。
But what's going to happen to the other three? Like, she's giving us plausible deniability because we're her naive friend. But what's going to happen to the three who knew what they were doing? Yeah, please do. Tell them I wasn't doing anything bad. To everyone, make sure. Everyone. Everyone? Who is everyone?
じゃあね。明日は元気になってるから。バイバイ。
I bet you freaking Takano stole something. I bet you that's how they know. Wait, Mion. What do you mean by everyone? Just then, a freezing cold hand touched the back of my neck. Because remember, Tomitake said, Takano, make sure you don't steal anything because they'll know that we're here. Bet you she took something.
遅いですよ、前原くん。顔を洗うだけなのに時間がかかりすぎです。
It was the teacher. Taking so long she came out to get me.
あ、すみません。ついミオンとおしゃべりを。
Turned around, but Mion had crossed through the schoolyard without me realizing and was now staying at the gate.
さあ、お勉強に戻りますよ。早く早く。
Teacher was being insistent. We returned to the entrance. Looked back one more time, and Mion was nowhere in sight. I'm glad she has our back, but that was a really unsettling discussion.
ケイチ、今日はずっと元気がないのです。
Rika's so cute.
昨日大はしゃぎしすぎたからに違いありませんわ。
迷子になって目を真っ赤にさせて半泣きしてたやつに言われたくねえ。
ゆうべのさとこちゃん、
かわいかったよ。Friends did their best to try and cheer me up, but it didn't lighten my mood. Was it far worse than I thought? Had I really done something that terrible last night? These thoughts remained with me for the rest of the day. We were absolutely Shion's +1 to that adventure. We wanted to watch Rika do the dance for the festival, and we were dragged away, and we were led into that warehouse because reasons.
また明日ね。
By the time I realized it, I was in front of my own house.
みーちゃんも風邪だったみたいだけど、ひょっとしてケイチくんもなのかな。
Ain't no cold.
こう見えても風邪で休んだことはないんだぜ。
でもみーちゃんもケイチくんも今日は具合が悪そうだし。
気にしてくれてありがとな。大丈夫。バカは風邪ひかないんだぜ。
Idiots don't catch colds, sure. Sure they don't. Rena smiled, then waved to me and left. Whew. My shoulders bobbing up and down from breathing heavily, I entered the house. As soon as I got back in, Mom called out to me.
何？
ケイチ、悪いんだけど図書館に行って本を返してきてくれない？
めんどくさいな。
Piss off, Mom.
お父さんも母さんも今ね、ちょっと電話待ちをしてるところで家を開けられないの。返却期限も今日までだし、お願いできない？
Sheesh. It have to do with Dad's job? No point in arguing if they bring that up.
仕方ないな。でも俺、図書館がどこにあるか知らないよ。
あら、知らないの？沖宮の駅前をちょっと進んで。
Just then the phone rang. Parents' faces immediately turned grim. Mom snatched up the receiver.
もしもし、前原です。はいはい、おりますけど。
She thrust the receiver at my face.
圭一に電話よ。早めに終わらせてね。
Tried to ask who it was from, but asking the person on the phone directly would be faster.
もしもし。
園崎の妹の方です。
I don't want to talk to Shion. You're gonna get me in so much trouble.
こんにちは。今はお時間大丈夫ですか？
It was Shion. Older sister had a hangover today, but the younger made no reference to it.
シオンか。ミオンと同じで、今日は徹夜明けで寝込んでるんじゃないかと思ったぜ。
え？それじゃあおね。おねらしい。
She laughed warmly, but Mom glared at me, silently telling me to finish up.
ごめんな。ちょっと親が電話待ちをしてるんで。何の用だ？
お話ししたいことがあったんですけど、長電話が無理じゃ仕方ないですね。
Sounded a little disappointed. What would Shion want to talk to me about? Now I was interested.
じゃあさ、会って話をしないか。ついでに図書館にも案内してもらえるとありがたい。
図書館って駅前の私立図書館ですか？別にいいですよ。バイトのついでってことで。
じゃあいつもミオンと待ち合わせてる場所わかるか？園崎家の小道に分かれる分岐の。
あ、ケイちゃん言ってませんでしたっけ？私本家じゃなくて沖宮の家に住んでるんですよ。だから待ち合わせ場所は沖宮駅の改札前なんかにしてくれた方が嬉しいんですけど。
Main house. Living in Okanomiya? Now she mentioned it, it's always seemed like the Sonozaki sisters weren't communicating. They live in different houses? I think Mion told us that at some point, didn't she? That she lives in she lives in the main house with her grandmother, and then Shion lives in the city, I guess with different members of the family. Also, now that you mention it, Reina said she never met the younger sister, despite going over to play sometimes.
じゃあ駅に集合な。すぐに行くよ。じゃあ。
Set the receiver down, and Mom immediately thrust a large pile of library books in my face. 6 volumes of long-form mystery novels. Mom had her own hobbies. Long-form romance mystery novels.
ケイチ、
Softcore mom porn, as I call them.
お夕飯までには帰るのよ。
じゃあ行ってくれよ。
Suppose I changed my clothes and grabbed my bike key. Climbed the stairs to my bedroom. Shion had been waiting for me already, so meeting up was a smooth process.
ミオンと違ってシオンは待ち合わせ時間を守るな。しみじみ。
おねを標準にされるといろいろと困ります。
Shion seemed a little unsteady too. She was drinking with Mion last night, wasn't she?
お前も夕べは寝てないんだろ？隠しても無駄だぞ。で、学校を早退したに違いない。
残念でした。私はそもそも今日はずる休みしてますので。私、おねより容量いいですから。
Hey, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter.
じゃあ、先に用事を片付けます？時間もそんなにないですから、図書館へ行くんですよね。
ああ、頼むよ。お袋の借りてる本の返却期限が、図書館は遠いのか？
すぐ近くですよ。
Okay. I still don't like hanging out with Shion. She gonna get us busted. We're gonna get in trouble for something. As she said that, we spotted the signboard for the library almost immediately. If it was this easy to find, then I guess I didn't need Shion to show me where it was after all. Went around a bend, and the building was right there. Shishibone Public Library. Lived in the country, so I hadn't expected too much, but it was pretty big. First floor was actually a government office, so the library was only on the second floor, but still looked large enough to fit a decent collection of books. passed through the automatic doors and we were greeted by the cool breeze of an air curtain. The cicadas had been loud outside, but it was quiet inside the library. The air conditioning inside was keeping the temperature at an ideal level for the books, which had that mildewy smell unique to old paper.
どこの図書館も似たようなもんだな。
There was one difference, that people studying for tests weren't taking up all the seats. I was one of those people, but now that seemed like a distant memory.
すみません、返却に来ました。
My brain went through the process of checking them in and then returned my mom's library card. Shion was going around the bookshelves with a deeply interested look on her face, like she wasn't the type who went to libraries very often.
悪いな、お待たせ。終わったよ。
図書館って涼しくていいところですね。私、将来は図書館で
Yeah,
働きたい
libraries
で
are
す。
cool. I haven't been to a library probably since I went to college. Sit around all day,
現実というか
drinking coffee,
あれ
reading,
と比べると
studying
随分とささやかな希望だな。
not going to class. You know, would definitely want to be a hardworking employee for an international trading company or some other crazy job that involved her running all over around the world. Compared to that, what Shion said is pretty heartwarming.
まあ、互いの持ち味を大切にしたいですよね。私たち分身じゃなくてシオンとミオンというちゃんとした個人なんですから。
双子は双子なりにいろいろと考えてるんだな。でも楽しそうだよな。俺には兄弟はいないから、うちには俺以外は親しかいない。
Lucky, only child.
窮屈なもんだよ。
I have severe middle child
私だって
syndrome.
そうです。お姉とは一緒に住んでるわけじゃないですから。
Well, right, she said something like that, didn't she? Why, though? Sisters living apart is unusual. We were getting tired of talking while we were walking. We ended up going to the lounge area, which was vacant, and continuing the conversation.
え、お姉は本家に、私は沖宮の家に住んでるんです。
I wonder if it's because, like, Mion is training to be, like, the head of the family or something.
本家ってなんだ？随分と立派な響きがあるけどな。
本家は本家です。園崎家の本家。お姉は跡取りだから、
Right.
バッチャと一緒に
Okay,
住んで、
yeah, I knew that.
いろいろと
So,
同志としての修行をさせられてるみたいです。
she's gonna be the head of the family, so that means Shion is, like, second banana, so I guess that's why she doesn't live at the main house. Mion, the head of the family? Kind of fit her personality, but kind of didn't, too.
ケイちゃんは引っ越してきたばかりでしたよね。自分で言うのもなんですけど、園崎家ってここいらじゃ結構名士なんですよ。
本当かよ。
Yeah, they're one of the main Hinamizawa families. The word personage didn't really match the extremely sociable air that Mion and Shion gave off. What Shion explained, the Sonozaki family goes way back to the beginnings of Hinamizawa. After the war, they had a bunch of successful ventures and extended their influence to a wide area.
園崎家はですね、親族全体で助け合う土壌があるんです。今の当主のバッチャが築き上げたんですけどね。
The entire family would provide backup to help one relative with a business venture. They were like a huge living company. Let's let them avoid tax-related problems and help relatives' ventures succeed, one after another, using large sums of money.
沖宮の街を歩くことがあったら、看板とかを意識してみてください。園崎の親族が経営しているお店ってとても多いんですよ。
Okay, and then that's why Shion and Mion are always going around helping their families. Got it.
言われて
They're
みれば
involved in their businesses.
例のおもちゃ屋も親類の人が経営してるみたいだったな。そういえばエンジェルモートも親類の人が経営してるんじゃないのか？
Even what few shops I was familiar with were involved with the Sonozaki family. It was definitely surprising.
特に金融不動産関係は強いですね。あと商工会議所の役員も何割かは園崎姓かその親類がついてます。沖宮一帯を評伝に市議会議員と県議会議員にも園崎がいますし。
ちょっと待て。なんだかすごい話になってきたぞ。
Her relatives operate shops in downtown Okinawa, and they're especially strong in finance and real estate. Top of that, a lot of them in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives, and there are even people elected to local offices.
ひょっとして園崎家ってこの辺り一帯じゃすごいんじゃ。
Yeah, they run this city. They run it.
すごいね。
Yeah, it's Oishi. Foo foo foo. All of a sudden, a cigarette-smoking overweight old man interrupted our conversation. What a good way to describe him. Wait, I know this guy.
どうも、こんにちは。今日はデートですかな？ 羨ましいですね。
そうだと思ったら邪魔しないでほしかったですね。大石さん。
Oishi-san? That was it. He was Oishi-san, a police officer. I thought it was this person who came to my rescue when I got involved with those delinquents before. Now that I thought about it, Mion didn't seem to like him very much.
いえいえ、すみません。知ってる声が聞こえてきたのでついつい。
Oishi-san laughed coarsely, not showing any sign of giving up. As Shion watched him do so, I didn't feel the same sense of malice from her as I had from Mion.
前原さんでしたよね。あなたもタフな人ですね。園崎姉妹を二股かけるなんて。
いや、そんな二股だなんて。
I mean, kind of. Turned around to look at Shion and plead for help, but she grinned and maintained her silence. Her gaze wandered. She looked at the clock.
ごめんなさい、ケイちゃん。私もうバイトの時間なんです。
Oh, don't leave us alone here with Oishi. Last time that happened, he told us, like, a whole bunch of scary stuff.
そうなのか？
Wait, didn't Shion have something to talk about today? Now this weird man is here, though.
また今度。あ、バイトが終わったら電話します。夜なら電話大丈夫ですよね。
ああ、大丈夫だと思う。
じゃあ今夜電話しますので、じゃあ。
Bye. Bye, Z's. Shion left so fast she was practically running. Oishi-san was waving at me with a grin. Felt like I'd been here as bait so she can get away. Maybe she was lying about having to go to work.
園崎のご令嬢とこれだけ親しくできるなんて、私も口の利き方を改めた方がいい。
Go away, Oishi. I don't want to hear whatever you have to say. You're gonna tell me about, like, the last time we talked to him, we sat alone in a car, and he told us in gruesome detail about how Tomitake used his own fingernails to rip out his throat. So I don't want to be here alone with this strange old man. Oishi-san put a coin into a vending machine as he said something a bit appalling.
アイスティーでいいですか？ミルクは入れます？
Milk and iced tea.
あ、いえ。
じゃあ入れますよ。はいどうぞ。
Handed me a cup of tea filled to the brim with ice, as I looked on absentmindedly. I don't think I'm obligated to have a guy like this buy me a drink, but did get it for me, so I'll thank him. Was Uishi-san just killing time? We didn't know each other well, but he still engaged me in conversation about all sorts of dumb things. When I thought back to how I talked with Shion, this seemed like a total disaster.
前原さんは園崎さんの
Oh,
ことを
see,
ど
here
れ
we
くらい
go.
ご存知で？
He's here to interrogate us. I knew it.
さっき聞いた以上のことは何も。
Till then, I hadn't known anything about either Mion or Shion other than the fact that they were interesting. I really did only just learn that she was the daughter of some prestigious family.
園崎家はこの地域一帯を牛耳ってる。ちなみに彼女のお父さんは関東でも有名な暴力団グループの大幹部さんです。ご存知でした？
大幹部って。
シオンさんの自宅をご存知ないんですか？高い塀に有刺鉄線と監視カメラで守られた典型的な暴力団の組長宅ですよ。今度ぜひ遊びに行ってみてください。
So now you're gonna sit here and gonna badmouth our friends. I don't like Oishi. She mentioned Mion being a successor, but to a crime syndicate?
いえいえいえいえ、まさかまさか。園崎美音さんが継ぐのはそんなちんけな暴力団組織だけじゃありません。彼女が継ぐのは園崎家そのものですよ。そのあたりの意味、ちょっと噛み締めていただけますか？
What is he trying to say to us? Uishi-san had spoken lightly about all this from start to finish, but what he was saying wasn't light in the least. It was abrupt and unbelievable.
ミオンさんがその気になれば、往来の真ん中で人殺しをしたってもみ消せちゃうかもしれないんですよ。証人は現れないだろうし、警察にだって圧力をかけられますし。
ミオは人殺しなんかしないぞ。
しませんしません、ものの例えですよ。
Hypothetically. Of course that's your response when I freak out.
大石さんでしたっけ？
What's your badge number, Oishi? You're harassing me.
ねえ、そうです。
大石さん、ミオンの家が何だろうと、ミオンは俺の誇れる最高の友人です。それをあまりけなすような言い方は好きになれないで
Yeah,
すね。
get out of here, you overweight cigarette smoking man. But my quiet anger showed through in my gaze as I stared at him. Of course, I could never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if it had any effect.
ではざっくばらんにそのミオンさんにいくつかの事件の嫌疑がかかっているとしたらどう思います
I would think I don't want to talk to you anymore. I would think that I'm underage, and you probably need an adult present to be grilling me like this. Suspected incidents? Can't just say terrible stuff like that on a whim.
何かの誤解に決まってるじゃないですか。ミオンは物騒なことを言うやつだけど、そんな悪いことをするようなやつじゃない。
前原さん、お静かにお静かに。ここ、図書館です。
You're the one coming in here and slinging stuff about my friends. Uishi-san shushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I was, I wouldn't be calm so easily.
落ち着いてください。さっきも申し上げました通り、園崎家はいい意味でも悪い意味でもこのですから、ちょっと何かあるとすぐに疑いがかかってしまう。そのあたりをご理解いただきたいのですよ。
Well, I know what Uishi-san is trying to say. Combining it with what Shion told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. Mion, meanwhile, is the successor, who apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? That's the only reason they're suspecting her?
ですから私だって仕事で仕方なくやってるんです。ミオンさんを疑うためでなく、ミオンさんの疑いを晴らすために捜査をしている。そうお考えいただきたいのです。
He could talk a dog. Wait, what? He could talk a dog out of a meat truck. I gotta write that down somewhere. That's a good one. It's a good way of saying that he's persuasive. He was the definition of a shrewd, unfair adult. At this point, I began to think that it was no coincidence I'd met him. Probably not. He probably saw us in Okinomiya and, like, followed us in here.
大石さん、ひょっとして俺に用なんですか？
ねえ、そうですよ。前原圭一さん。
He answered in an absent tone of voice.
何かの事件でミオンを疑っていて、その友人の俺に何か聞きに来た。そういうことですか？
いえいえ、違います。私は園崎美音さんの友人と話をしに来たのではなく、前原圭一さんに話をしに来たのです。ご自宅にお伺いしたらご迷惑でしたでしょうからね。
Okay.
俺に
Yeah, so you didn't want to just talk to us about Mion. What did you want to talk to us about?
警察が何の用だって言うんですか？
Having realized this faked coincidental meeting had me as its target, my mood immediately turned foul.
そんなに構えなくて大丈夫ですよ。肩を楽にして、ちょっと質問に答えてくださるだけでいいんです。
それって職務質問ってやつですか？
偶然知り合ったおじさんとの世間話ってことにしましょう。
Pretty sure what you're doing talking to an underage suspect is probably illegal. I don't think that's proper police procedure. Uishi-san freely suggested that I relax. That said, behind his eyes was a light, which I could only see sometimes. That was sharp as a hawk. If I tried in vain to run away, he might actually take me in and bring me to an interrogation room or something. That was an undoubtedly pleasant thought. Ooh, unpleasant thought. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, we don't want that to
昨
happen.
べは渡長市のお祭り、盛大で楽しかったですね。
Not really.
はぐらかさないでください。今さら世間話なんかされても。
昨日の渡長市の晩、富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
Again? Gulp. Completely feel myself give a start.
あれ、写真はどこに行っちゃったかな？ああ、あったあった。
Opened a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look.
さあ、どうでしょう。あったような、合わなかったような。
Yeah, we saw a lot of people. What's it to you, Flatfoot? I asked the same question for the second time today. Gave the same answer for the second time, too.
あれ？記憶が曖昧ですか？まさかアルコールが入っててよく覚えてないなんてのはなしにしてくださいよ。
Here, too, I got the same answer as I had from Mion. Realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well. Why is he asking me the same thing Mion did? Dark feelings I had nearly forgotten due to my conversation with Shion came rushing back in a hurry. We snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse. A punishable act. It was on a tiny impulse. Well, it may not count for much now. I do feel sorry about it.
もう一度お聞きします。
Look at his scary face.
夕べのお祭りで富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか?
His tone was soft, but there was a dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he asked. I'm scared. That was exactly how I felt.
繰り返し聞かれても答えはさっきと同じです。
I don't even remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, nor the courage to admit I had.
そうですか。改めて聞けば、さっきとは違う答え
That's
が
exactly what Mion said.
と思いましてね。
Too scared to look Oishi-san in the eyes.
では、質問を変えます。ほら、前原さん、リラックス、リラックス。
Get away from me. Don't you touch me. You're putting your hands on a child. Get your hands off me. Oishi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them as if trying to give me a massage. Mostly just hurt, though. Still, why would he ask the same things as Mion? If he's asking the same things, the next question must be...
同じく夕べのお祭りなんですが、園崎紫音さんにお会いしませんでした。
He knows something too. So he's either working with Mion, or someone slipped him some information about the warehouse, and he's trying to find these people before they're killed. I wonder what that sound was, and when I looked down, I saw that it was the unmelted ice in the cup I was gripping in my hands. My hands were trembling, rocking the ice back and forth. Realizing that, I hastily put down the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it.
すみません。あったかもしれないですけど、ほら、ミオンにもそっくりですから。ミオンと見間違えてるかも。
Good answer. Good answer.
そんなわけはないでしょう。
Suddenly, Oishi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down to give me a level stare. Must be what it's like to be a deer in the headlights. I want to look away, but I can't. First time I've experienced such a piercing stare. Is he going to kiss us deeply on the mouth? Why is he so close to me?
ミオンさんもシオンさんもそうは全然違うんですから、そう簡単に見間違えるはずはありませんよ。前原さん。
Voice was harsh. Harsh, the same as when Mion said it. Why don't you go and find those people yourself? Why is everyone grilling me? I feel my heartbeat quickening. I realized he could feel it through the hands on my shoulders. I got even more scared. Why? Why are Mion and Oishi-san both asking about last night? Was sneaking into that storehouse so bad? Ugh. Shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Tomitake-san casually said to check it out too, so don't listen to stupid adults because they're bad at adulting. Even Shion, if she hadn't encouraged me. No, I understood. I was the one most at fault here. Shouldn't have let my curiosity get the better of me. Shouldn't have gone into the forbidden storehouse. That was a bad move. Young man wearing a suit came into the lounge. The way he held himself, I knew immediately that he was Oishi-san's subordinate.
あれは本当だ。もう閉館なんですね。
Hadn't realized it until he said something. Jingle an announcement telling patrons the library had closed had started playing without me realizing it. I was so irritated, so overwhelmed that I couldn't even hear it.
じゃあ前原君、もうこんな時間なんで私たちは失礼させてもらいます。このお話はもっと時間のある時にのんびりといたしましょう。
You can come visit me in my house, and you can talk to my parents first. This isn't a joke. If we never saw him again, it would be too soon. Oishi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around.
そうそう前原さん。
何ですか?
さっきさせてもらった2つの質問ですが、どちらの回答もよく覚えてないでして。
はい。
参考までに。あなた、昨日全員にお会いしてますよ。4人で楽しそうに歩いてたじゃないですか。石段のところで。私がこの目で見てます。
Oh, man. Busted. Caught my breath and my heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew, and he was testing me.
ではまた。おい、良いお年を。
Get out of my face, Oishi. Sounded like a rock, unmoving, till I could no longer hear the clacking sounds of their footsteps. How much of terrible adults this game has. Hi, I'm an underage minor. You should not be questioning me in a public space without my parents present. It's on my way back home. Cries of the Higurashi accentuated the already lonely evening. More time had passed than I'd thought. The orange of the dusky sky was being chased down little by little by an indigo color approaching from the east. Exhausted from the slow climb towards Hinamizawa, without even noticing I'd gotten up my bicycle and was pushing it uphill. Don't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face that I'd done something wrong. No, in fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. It really was no more than a quiet prank. More than having the courage to cross at a red light as long as you did it with other people. The storehouse for ritual implements, hallowed ground, only accessible to the family of the priest. For sure, I'd seen terrifying things that I'd never imagined would be there. Thinking on it now, though, it didn't matter what was stored away inside. It didn't make the wrong I'd committed any more right. The four of us did. Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the four of us did. Did we do something so bad? Really? Doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. Nothing more than that, and yet, couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Oishi-san. All I did was shield myself with ambiguities. I did something wrong yesterday. I set foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw in there. I won't ever do something like that again either. I'm sorry. I apologize like that when they forgive me? Suddenly cool evening air left no room for such sentiment, however, as it mercilessly chilled my feet, urging me to head home as soon as possible. In the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along such an isolated road, regrets would pile on top of regrets, but nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home, go to my room, put on my favorite music or something, and go to bed. It might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I've felt all day. Now that I've made a decision, there's no point in dawdling in a place like this. I sat back on my bike. I pushed hard on the pedals. I rapidly advanced forward. I steadily gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, but it actually felt good, as if it were softly punishing me. Peer pressure. Never give in to peer pressure. That's the lesson we've learned, Keiichi Maibara. Didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. My mom called me from downstairs. Oh no, it's Shion. I forgot. She's gonna call us. And probably bring up a whole bunch of sore stuff. Sonozaki? Was it Mion? No, it was Shion. I just remembered. She had something she wanted to tell me today. Oishi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call me tonight.
もしもし、シオンか。
どうも、今日は災難でしたね。
She said it so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me there and ran.
そんなこと言わないでください。私、ケイちゃんに一緒に逃げようってサインを送ったじゃないですか。なのにケイちゃん、ぼさっと残っちゃって。
You said you had to go to work. There was no signal for me.
ぼさってことはないだろう。シオンがあっという間に置いてきぼりにしたんで、あなた俺は大石のおっさんにたっぷり。
そんなの、私に愚痴られても困ります。
Can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion, and yet inside she's this different? Got a little irritated at myself when I realized I was, somewhere in my mind, hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person.
ああ、悪かったよ。次からはシオンを置いてくぐらいのつもりで、真っ先に逃げ出すようにする。
できればレディーファーストでお願いします。
Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realized that she wasn't really angry or anything. Just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be...
それより、俺に何か話があるんだろう？
はい。もしも、もう知ってるなら、改めて言うような話じゃないんです。知ってますか？
Already know what? She unloaded her voice suddenly as if she were glancing around. I had no idea what I could already know.
悪いけど何のことかさっぱりわからないぞ。ヒントくらい出せ。
ってことは知らないみたいですね。
Could you just tell me in plain English or plain Japanese with subtitles? Seemed to take my stupid sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest.
実は昨日の渡長市のお祭りの晩なんですけど。
Okay. My entire body jolted as I was assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing?
もしもし、ケイちゃん、聞いてます？
ああ、聞いてる。昨日の晩どうしたんだよ。
私たち4人入ったじゃないですか。
What? She didn't beat around. Why is she asking us if we went in there? She was with us. She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that was the actual honest truth, and I couldn't act like it hadn't happened.
それでその後みんなで歩いて石段のあたりで私たちみんな別れましたよね。高野さんたちは沢に行ってケイちゃんはその場に行っちゃって。
ああ、それがどうした？
お互い質問の返し合いになっちゃうと拉致が開かないんでいいですか？
ゆうべ富武さんと高野さんに会いませんでしたか？
はい、あの後あの二人には会いましたか？
No. You're lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This is the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell was going on?
どうしてだよ。だからどうしてそれを俺に聞くんだよ。
ほらほら、ケイちゃん、質問は私からのはずです。答えてください。
シオンはあったのか？シオンが先に答えたら俺も答える。
My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now, after everything that had happened today. Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth with that response, she finally answered me.
もちろん会ってません。一緒にいた親類が証明できます。
俺だって会ってない。証明って言うならミオンとかレナとかみんながしてくれる。
Now that we knew our answers matched, she let out a sigh that sounded more relieved than anything else.
正直に答えてくれて。じゃあ言いますね。
Yeah, what is going on?
ゆうべ高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。
They were the ones that died. Okay, we know that one person was found in a barrel, burned. They had to identify based on dental records.
ごめん、シオン。今なんて言った？
ゆうべ高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。 高野さんは焼死体で、
Oh, she was the one that was burned to death.
富武さんは自殺みたいな感じで、今朝知ったんです。お父さんが親類の人からの電話で話してるのを聞いて。
Late last night, his car on its way back from festival security duty had discovered Tomitake-san lying in the middle of the road, heading towards Okinomiya. He had clawed out his throat and died. So that was the same as in the first chapter. So in the Onikakushi chapter, Tomitake used his own fingernails to claw at his throat. I remember that. But Takano-san was never found. She disappeared.
なんだよ。
So now we have two bodies instead of the usual one.
あの明るそうな富武さんが自殺？何かの間違いだろ？
警察がちゃんと検視したんです。自分の爪で
That's the same.
ガリガリと喉をかきむしって、血管を破いて血をドバドバ出して、自分の血で溺れ死んだんだって。
そんなバカな自殺聞いたことないぞ。自分の喉をかき破るなんて
Well, he did it.
おかしすぎる。
Realized I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the force I was bringing to my voice. Didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran up to my own room.
大声出してごめん。で、高野さんも自殺なのか？
Was that a suicide? Did she throw herself into a barrel and burn herself to death? That's how I want to go.
高野さんは自殺かどうかちょっと。
Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture. Employees at a rest stop nearby reported to the police late last night that they could see flames in the mountains. Firefighters dispatched there were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was the burned corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after there was a request for a dental comparison from the prefectural police station in Okinawa, and the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. Cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely to have been a homicide since she was in her undergarments and her clothes were nowhere in the area. Makes sense.
灯油管が転がってたそうなんで、焼身自殺の線もあるそうです。
自殺なわけあるものか。同じ死ぬならもっと楽な方
Yeah,
法が
rather than burning yourself alive, there's plenty of ways.
こんなの絶対に自殺なものか。
私だってそう思ってます。富武さんのだって自殺だなんて考えられない。
As the two of us rattled on at each other, there was a silence as we paused to catch our breaths. And as we calmed our nerves, right then I understood what Shion's story actually meant.
お社様のたたりってことになると思います。
But every year it's been one person who dies and one person who disappears. Now we have two dead bodies.
私たち語られるのに十分な資格がありますから。
資格って冗談じゃないぞ。別に俺は。
Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but fell silent. Nothing would come of me blaming others. Didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me. I could have put my foot down. Lost in my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go in with them. Yes, it was my fault, no one else's.
Shion,
Yes and no. We just wanted to watch the ritual dance.
お前は昨夜細工殿の中に忍び込んだらこうなるかもしれないと予想はついてたのか。
まさか。そりゃ多少はやばいとは思いましたけど、こんなことになるなんて夢にも思いませんでした。
Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she could get in trouble if we were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. The same for me.
それよりもケイちゃん、ちょっとよく考えてください。今年のお社様のたたりはおかしくない
Right.
ですか？
Two dead bodies. It's already pretty strange, seeing as how Tomitake-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger?
死体が2つ見つかったってことです。言いましたよね。例年は1人が死んで1人が消えるんです。2人の死亡が確認されたのは今年が初めてです。
確かにそうかもしれないけど、そんなのは大した問題じゃないだろう。
いいえ、ケイちゃん、もっと真剣に考えてください。いいですか？2人の死がお社様のたたりというお社様の怒りを鎮めるための生贄もまた2人分必要なはずなんです。
そういう理屈になるのか。
So 2 and 2. So she's saying that this year it doubles up. So 2 people would be killed and then 2 people would be demoned away.
じゃあなんだよ。富武さんと高野さんが死んだ陰で今年は2人が行方不明になってるってのか。
I understand why, but when I said that I felt my spine freeze. Come on, Keiichi. Put the pieces together.
まだ誰も行方不明になってないと思います。多分2人が失踪するのはこれからじゃないかと思うんです。
Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back.
これから2人が失踪する。
Think hard. The gerbil's turning in the wheel. Shion didn't answer. Couldn't say any more than that either. Chill crept in through my clothes and tried to wrap a fist around my heart. Cold hands feeling about on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomitake-san opened the lock and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual storehouse and she died. 2 more people were to be sacrificed. They would be none other than the ones who entered with them. None other than us.
まさか冗談だろ。
Wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. Tomitake-san and Takano-san had died in a common way like a car accident I could tell myself was a coincidence. Instead, he clawed out his own throat and she burned to death, drowned in oil in the mountains. 2 deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, must be someone punishing us. Some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still don't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued knowing I was running away.
大地、そんなの新聞に出てないぞ。そんなに奇怪な事件なら 絶対に新聞やテレビで報道するはずだろ。雑誌記者とかだって面白がって大勢来るに決まってる。
They're probably trying to hush it up.
マスコミに報道されないのは当然なんです。過去にそうだったから。
Yeah, I mean that would probably like lower the tourism and the festival attendance rates if they knew that every year somebody died and somebody else was disappeared. When incidents occurred for the third year in a row, there were some third-rate magazines sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would develop a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media.
孫将とか、あと園崎家出身の金八が警察に思いっきり圧力をかけたんだって聞いてます。
じゃあつまり二人の死は
Yep,
秘密裏に処理されて
I
しま
remember
った
that.
ということか。
そういうことです。もちろん警察は捜査をしてますよ。でも秘匿捜査ということなので捜査活動にはかなりの制限が加えられているそうです。これは事実上の捜査妨害と言えるでしょうね。
The story was unbelievable. People died, and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret.
もっと噛み砕いて言うと、渡流しの夜に誰が死んでも公にはならないということです。
そんなバカな
The
話が
biggest
あ
pile
った
of
ことあるか。
bullshit.
ケイちゃん、
Screw you, Hinamizawa.
私以前に親代様のたたりは村人が起こしてるかもしれないって言いましたよね。つまりそういうことなんです。このひなみ沢では毎年渡流しの夜に親代様のたたりということにして誰かを殺してもいい土壌がいつの間にか作り上げられているんです。
Someone dies at the night of the Watanagashi, it turns into the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Curse turns into the serial murder incidents. In order to avoid exacerbating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret.
バカな。毎年死者と行方不明者が出るんだろう。いくらマイナスイメージって言ったって警察にも限度があるだろう。
Doesn't seem like it.
毎年の事件が不可解っていうなら警察も本腰を入れられるんでしょうけど、何しろ毎年の事件は個別に解決してますので連続事件という形にならないんですよ。たまたま毎年渡流しの晩に不幸なことが起こる、それだけのことに。
Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. Last one managed to get and stay away, but the events were totally exposed and elucidated, so it was, in essence, resolved. The dam supporting couple who died in an accident on the second year, that was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigation into the possibility of it having been a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. Ended up as an accident. It was resolved. On the third year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed, and they all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy, concluded that it wasn't a homicide. That was resolved too. In the fourth year, the sister-in-law of the dam supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychostimulant usage. He confessed that he thought Oyashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while in prison, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved. Well, that sucks.
なのになぜか毎年渡流しの晩に不幸な偶然が起こる。連続事件にしたくても連続にならないんです。それでも毎年必ず誰かが死んで誰かが消えていく。
This will be year number 5. The story Takano told me on the day before was during the setup. Now that the curse had actually occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off.
じゃあ俺たちも狙われるっていうのか。毎年一人死ぬと一人が消えるように富武さんや高野さんの道連れに消えさせられるっていうのかよ。
Probably. My lips had at some point become completely dry. Just saying that was difficult. Now my lips are dry too. Nah. She didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give me.
俺たちそりゃ確かに入っちゃいけないところだったかもしれないが見ただけだぜ。何かを盗んだり持ち出したり見たことを誰かに喋ったわけじゃないんだぜ。
I was already regretting having committed such a wrong. Even so, was it really so bad that Tomatake-san and Takano-san deserved such cruel deaths?
第一俺はあんなの見ても全然面白くなかったし高野さんが見て一人で大喜びしてただけだろ。 悪いのは高野さんだけだよ。
Well,
俺は全然関係ないぜ。興味もないし関係ないし、あの中にあったものだって知ったことじゃ
you
ない。
still went in there, Keiichi. You were Shion's +1. I knew saying so wouldn't solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self, in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam, and I couldn't stop them anymore.
俺はもともと興味なんか全然なかったんだ。イカちゃんの演舞を見ていたかっただけなんだ。
Thank you. All we wanted to do was watch the dance. And who pulled us away?
それをシオンが勝手に連れ出したんじゃない
Shion
か。
Sonozaki.
あの二人が泥棒しようが何しようが知ったことじゃない。そうだよ、そもそもシオンが中に入ろうって言い出したんだ。ケイちゃんは見ておく必要があるとかなんとか思わせぶりなことを言って中に引き込んだんだ。どうしてくれるんだよ。俺は全然関係ないんだぞ。どうすんだよ、どうすんだよ。どうやって責任を取ってくれるんだよ。おい、聞いて。
Well, that was a little bit harsh. Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off with the soft sound of a receiver being slammed down. Shion was just as terrified as I was. I just said some really self-centered things. My riled up emotions disappeared as if they never existed, and in their place surged waves of deep regret at having run my mouth so irresponsibly. I mean, all of those things were true. We did just want to watch Rika-chan's dance, but maybe there was, like, another way we could have gone about saying all that stuff. I tried to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Okinomiya. I didn't know her phone number. Since I had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. Couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. I turned the receiver to its stand, and I simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion. Calm down and call me again. Ring, ring, ring. I bet you that's not Shion.
もしもし、前原です。
Up to the receiver as though it wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at that exact moment.
前原さんのお宅でしょうか。夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申します。ご主人様でいらっしゃいますか？
Kimiyoshi? Voice of a girl who clearly wasn't Shion. My hopes rushed out of me.
いえ、違いますけど、親父に用なら呼んできます。
I went to put the receiver back down, but the caller stopped me hurriedly.
あ、いえいえ、お忙しければ結構なんです。実は恐縮なんですが、うちのおじいちゃんがお邪魔してませんでしょうか？
いえ、誰も来てませんけど。
Who is Kimiyoshi?
そうですか。夜分遅くに申し訳ありませんでした。失礼いたします。
Clack? Who are you? Wait. I don't know who that was, but what if Shion tried to call while I was on the phone? I thought, bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give it a break, Keiichi Maibara. These are the selfless emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, the more I thought that Shion given up hope in the short time since we had our conversation and didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiichi Maibara. Shion does call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, phone didn't ring again that night. Well, you done screwed up, Keiichi. That was the wrong move. Just stuck your foot right in it, didn't you? It's okay to think those things inside. We know it's Shion's fault, but you don't tell Shion it's her fault. Alright, some new tips. Oh, close calls. We got an achievement. Like I said, all we wanted to do was watch Rika dance. I wanted to watch her little ritual dance. The significance of Watanagashi. So, these scrapbooks, I think we determined, were folklore and clippings and diary entries put together by Takano. So, now we're talking about the Watanagashi. Watanagashi, a festival of hunting for sacrifices and feasting on them. While the festival itself is remarkable, it has come to be considered a form of entertainment as well. Perhaps it was because of the disparity between being both an egregious act and form of entertainment that the perpetrators began to believe themselves transcendent. However, I found some very interesting literature that appears to raise questions about that explanation. As with most oral traditions, it's not easily swallowed, but it does mention a few things that spark my interest. According to this literature, even the residents of Onigafuchi village felt fear towards this ritual. Women and children would grow pale and tremble, and those of weak constitution would vomit. But it said that the feast, the dissection, was an obligatory viewing. This is an extremely cautious tale. Till now, I thought that the residents of Onigafuchi village were fascinated by the Watanagashi ritual. They looked down on those vulgar, barbaric humans, cut them open like fish, and by eating them, they reaffirmed their holiness. At least that's what I thought. However, if what the villagers gained from this ritual was not fascination, but fear, that would suggest the ritual meant something entirely different. There's a possibility that the executions were meant as warnings, encouraging the villagers to strictly follow religious precepts, created by those with power for their own convenience. Onigafuchi village has been effectively ruled over by 3 old families, called the 3 families. And investigating the 3 families, I probably won't get any closer to the truth of Onigafuchi village. And we know that the Furudes, the Sonozakes, and I don't know the last family. I thought it was the Hojos. I don't think it's the Hojos. Might be another family. Okay, another scrapbook. The 3 families. 3 families refers to the 3 old families who effectively came to rule Onigafuchi village. Break it down, there was the Kimiyoshi. Ooh, we just talked to someone named Kimiyoshi. Hey. Okay. There was the Kimiyoshi family, the Furude family, and the Sonozaki family, and each of them still exists today. They don't have as much control as they did in the remote past, they still hold considerable influence today. The 3 families are considered by legend to be those in whom the blood of the swamp demons runs the thickest. Kimiyoshi family. Kimiyoshi family appears to have held great power as the head of the 3 families, but didn't have that kind of leadership today. Current mayor of the village, Yoshichiro Kimiyoshi, is from this family. The fact that members of the Kimiyoshi family are elected as mayor every generation is thought to be a remnant of the old system. Of course, as no rival candidates appear, it doesn't change the fact that the Kimiyoshi family holds the mayoral office, even through popular elections in the post-war era. The Furude families, this is Rika's family. Center of the village's faith since ancient times, the Furude clan has guarded the sole shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama. They were worshipped as the only people to represent the voice of Oyashiro-sama for a long time, but the family branched off after the war and lost most of its power. It now consists of only the main house. Main house, as well, personally consists of only one daughter, Rika Furude, so lineage may end in this generation. There's apparently an old tradition of honoring females of the Furude family, so the only daughter, Rika, is the subject of much respect among the elderly of the village. In the Sonozake family, this is Mion and Shion's family. It's said that this family had a certain police-like role of protecting the religious precepts of Onigafuchi village. Of the 3 families, their relatively weak position can be seen from me putting them here at last. Of course, today, the Sonozake family is flourishing, and the state of affairs among the 3 families is completely reversed. Even now, one could say that they are in control of Hinamizawa. The 3 families conferring with each other is similar to the old way. The current head of the Sonozake family, Oryu, sorry, I thought I read it, Oryu, essentially decides all of the goings-on in the village by herself. So this should be, so Oryu must be Shion and Mion's grandmother, the head of the family. Got it. Okay, that's good. I was wondering who the 3rd family was. So it's the mayor's family, the Kimiyoshis. Got it. I don't know that we've met anyone yet. I think the only Kimiyoshi that we've met has been the one that just called us on the phone. Late night phone call. What? Click.
どうだいダメ
参ったなあ。どんなに熱中しても電話くらいはしてくれる人なんだけれどな。
囲碁の人の家は全部電話したんでしょ
はい、君吉です。
園崎です。 そうです。村長さんは見つかりましたか？
ああ、ミオンちゃんか。片っ端から電話をかけてみたけど。
So we got the same phone call. So they're calling around. They can't find the mayor.
見つからないんだ。参ったな。どこで油を売ってるのかな。
こっちでも心当たりにいろいろと問い合わせましたけど、全然。バッチャにも相談したんですが、青年団を招集して探し回った方がいいだろうということです。
こんな時間にかい。それに別に行方不明になったと決まったわけでもないし。
Well, but Oyashiro-sama was cursed right after Watanagashi.
綿流しの直後
Just happens. Right. Be a little more cautious. See, I'm getting this game. I'm understanding now how these people think and what the deal is.
明朝警察に通報しましょう。見つかる見つからないは別にして、痛くない腹を探られない方がいいでしょうから。
おりょうさんがそう言ったのかい。
はい。直接声を聞かないと信用できないなら、電話先に出させますよ。
いえ、わかりました。青年団を集めて探しましょう。それで見つからなければ翌朝に警察に通報します。
So maybe the mayor got demoned away. Maybe we're safe. Maybe something happened to the mayor. I don't give two shits about him. We've never even met him as a character. Let the mayor go away. Let him be spirited away. Sure.
すぐにみんなを集めます。
Spare me.
では。
Interesting. Okay. So that's going to play out later, I guess. So now one of the heads of the family is gone. The mayor. Interesting. I love these little tips. They add like a little bit, just a little bit extra flavor to the story. Like they're not necessary to understand, but I like it. All right, so I think that's going to do it for today. This has been episode 8 of our Watanagashi chapter. Not sure what's going to happen. It seems right now like we've just cut off connection with the only other living person that we could have talked to about the storehouse, who is Shion, who we just screwed up royally with. Takano's dead, Tamatake's dead, so I guess in our next chapter we're going to see if someone gets spirited away or what's going to happen. But I appreciate y'all sticking with this series. I'm still having a lot of fun with it. Expect at least one of these up every week. It's a little bit taxing on my voice to do the visual novel for so long. But I appreciate y'all sticking with it, and I will catch you for the next one. Peace!